So back onto the accordions now. So I've done a bit of work on guitars, and I think I equally enjoy working with guitars as accordions really. And back onto the accordions. This is a little a video now about accordion bass straps. So when you're playing your accordion, you've got your bass strap, which is going to give you the ability to move the bellows in and out to create the pressure, the air pressure that you need to make the notes sound. Now, one thing that when you're restoring or fixing accordions that you have to do is to either replace or repair the bass strap. Now, there's two different kinds of mechanisms. One that you'd find on accordions up to about 1940, and that's more basic, where bass strap where it's actually just screwed at both ends onto the bass side of the accordion. And then you get the more modern type where the bass strap is fixed at one side, and then you've got like a wheel just on here where you can actually then wind that bass strap in and out to get the right amount of tension on your hand, so that it's not too loose, not too tight. So I'm going to start off with this more modern type, and then I'll show you the more vintage kind of bass strap, which you find on the obviously the accordions up to about 1950 probably. So let's start with this one. So this is a Pigliacampo accordion from Italy, and it's 72 bass, I believe, or 80, I have to count this. And so what I'll do, I'll show you how to take off the bass strap, and then we can talk about whether you could repair it or whether you want to replace it, how you would do that. So the first thing, before you can take off the bass strap, is to make things easy for yourself by just getting down to the bass side of the accordion. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the pins from the bass side, and then disconnect the top bit, if you like, and put that to one side. So I need my special pair of pliers for taking out the pins. I'll also need my special block for putting the pins in the right order when I take them out. So let's get these taken out. Okay, so got the pins out, put that to one side. Put that over to one side. I'll just turn the accordion around slightly. So now I can take off the top, so the bellows and the treble section. Hopefully this is going to come apart fairly easily, but sometimes it can be a little bit tight. There we go. So now I'm going to take this bit off completely. So that's the bass side now. So what I'll do is I'll just put that to one side, put this top bit out of the way, like so. And now we've got down to the bass side. Now before I do anything else, I'm also going to take out the bass side reed blocks. I'll just focus it down a little bit. Yeah, I'll take out the bass side reed blocks. So if I just get my little screwdriver here, undo these two little clamps. These can sometimes be a bit stiff. You want to have a good screwdriver just to release those. So what I've done really is made my life as easy as I can by just having removed things which might get in the way or get damaged. So that's all good. So now I've just got the bass side of the accordion. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it over like so, and now I need to get into this, so I'm going to have to take off this plate. Before I can take that off, I actually need to disconnect that bass strap by undoing a little knurled ring which undoes the screw, and then that bass strap should come all the way out. There you go. And as you can see, it's got a bolt really, or screw thread just here, so that actually fits into that mechanism down here and allows you to tension that bass strap. So I'm going to put that to one side, because what I need to do now is get this plate off. And this is quite straightforward, just got to keep aware of this. So you need a nice screwdriver, and I've got some screws to undo, and I'm going to remove the plate. So just hold that out of the way. So let's get these screws. It's quite a good idea when you do things like this, is when you're taking screws out, is to put them in a little order so that you put them back in the same place, because sometimes somebody might have changed the size a little bit. They just get used to where they are anyway, so I always just put them back in the same order, just in case. It might not make a difference, but it might make a difference. There we go. So I'll just put those in some order down there so I can see. Sometimes to get this back panel off, you have to actually take the feet off, because the feet are actually holding it in. But so that's good, that's all come off. So that's all that off, and I'll just show you this coming off now. There we are, and that comes off. Right, so I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm just going to show you what this looks like now from a different angle, so give me a second. Okay, now the next bit is a bit of a fiddle. Now this is the bass strap, which goes through a little slot here into the bass side. Now it's screwed in inside here. Now to get to those screws, there's two ways you can do it. You can either take all the bass mechanism out to give you space to get the screwdriver in. That's a little bit of a pain, because it means you have to remove all the buttons through the holes, then you've got to put it all back together again. So another way of doing it is what I've got here. So I've got a long flexible screwdriver with the right tip, nice thin flat blade tip on the end of there. So what I can do now, because it's quite long, I can get a kind of quite a shallow angle going in here without damaging this mechanism. And so just getting that into the right place, a little bit of a fiddle, but getting that right in, I can then get those screws undone. But having the flexible screwdriver just means you can just get round, just flex it slightly to get it into those screws, so you kind of get away with not having to take out the bass mechanism. So I'm just going to get these undone. There's that one. Once they're loose, so I'm just going to loosen off this one, then you can just get an ordinary screwdriver in there, because it will fit and you can just loosen them off quite nicely. But let me just get them started. There we are. So I'm now going to get an ordinary one in there now, and I can just put that in at a bit of an angle, and I can just loosen those off. Actually not quite, let's just do a little bit more. And so it's a little bit of a fiddle. But it's worth it in the end. There we go, just get this one. There we go, it's coming out nicely. Once they get started, it's quite easy. It's just getting that first rotation of that screw. There we go, it's just coming out now. And let's just get an ordinary screwdriver in there next. And eventually a bit of a, might be a longer flat one. Wait, what have we got here? Nope, I think I have to go in with the flexible a tiny bit more. There we go, and just finish off. There we go. Right, so it's a little bit tricky, but definitely having a little flexible screwdriver like this one here can help you just get the right angle to get those screws out. Right, now that those screws are out, I can just get the screws. I need a bit of pliers now, just to get those screws out of the way. Now once that's out, just got to get that out. There we go. So that's now come out, and I'll just show you all the bits and bobs that came with it. Let me just get them out of here for a second. Right, okay, let me just change the camera angle again so I can just show you it a bit more clearly. Okay, so I've now undone the screws. I'm going to do it that way. No. Hopefully try to get the angle. There we are. So it's just in there. Undone the screws which are holding the whole strap in there. That's come out. And so now the bass strap is removed from the bass side of the accordion. Now holding it in where it was screwed in, I just had a little clamp like this with two screws, one there and one there, and they were screwed into the wood down here. So when I put it back in again, I will just feed this back through, and then I'm going to just screw those screws back in again, hold it all in place. So I'll do that in a second. So with the bass strap out, this is where you might want to do some repairs to it. It could be that you just have to polish up a little bit, but it could be that you want to replace it completely. Now, the first thing you can do is just buy the strap like this, which you can then fit. And so the size of the strap will vary depending on what accordion you've got. For example, if you've got like a 48 bass, it'll be a certain length, a 72 or 96 or 120. So you can buy them in different lengths. Now, one place I'd really recommend is CGM Musical, which is an online shop for melodeon and accordion spare parts. And if you go onto their website, they do kind of have different sizes of bass straps that you can order for, say, a 48 or 72 or 96 or 120 bass. So that's one way of doing it. And then you buy this, it will come with this screw on one end, and then you have to screw it in to the other side like that. The other way you can do it is to get yourself some leather yourself. For example, I've got some here which is a similar width. It's 2mm thick, and then you can cut that to the required length, and then you can buy the bit, the screw bit, separately, and then you just have to rivet that onto the end of a piece of leather. So I've got like a little riveting kit here. It's really exciting, it's really riveting, and I can just choose the right size rivet and just rivet through onto the leather. So that works really well. And then obviously what you might want to do to make it really nice is to put some felt on the inside. I've done that before with accordion straps. Glue some felt on, and that just gives you a really nice comfy strap. So that's what you do if you want to change a bass strap. Now, to put it back in again, I'll just show you that. I'm just getting my tool set up, and then I'll show you putting it back in again. Give me one sec. Okay, getting it back in again. I've pushed the strap through the little slot just here on the base mechanism. That just gets pushed through. And then what I'm going to do next is get my screws ready that I'm going to use to screw the strap back into the base side of the mechanism. Now when you've got your screws, just have a little look at them, and if they're starting to if the heads are starting to get a bit worn and the slots a bit worn, then just change them, because if they start to get kind of worn, you'll find it difficult getting them in and even more difficult getting them out again. So just have a supply of screws that you may want to change them for, which might help to do that. Now what I'm going to do for this one is change these from flathead ones to crosshead screws, because I'm going to find it a bit easier with a crosshead screwdriver to get them in, because this is quite tricky with a flathead. It can slip out quite easily. So I'm going to change these up for some crosshead screws of the same size, and I think I'm going to find that a lot easier to maneuver these screws back in. So just give me a second while I find some good crosshead screws. Okay, this is tricky. So what I've done, I've chosen some crosshead screws which are steel, and I'm using my magnetic screwdriver. It's got a magnetic tip on it so that I can actually ease those in nicely. So what I've done is started off the hole, and I'm going to get the second one in. Let's find the right one. It's this one. So there we go. I've got it on my magnetic screwdriver. So this is a little bit of a fiddle. There's no getting around it really. There we go. Once you've got them started, like that, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my flexible screwdriver again, and I've got to change the bit, because now I'm going for crosshead. So I'm going to change it for a crosshead bit, like so. Move that out of the way, and now I'm just going to go in. Sorry, you're not going to see very well here, but I'm going to go in with my crosshead, and I'm just going to fully tighten those in. So you can't really see terribly well, but I'll just tell you what I'm doing. I'm just screwing in those screws. Actually, I think I'm going to find it a little bit easier with just a standard screwdriver going in at a slight angle. Actually, that's going a bit easier. That one's in. And that one, so yeah, again, it's a little bit going to go at this angle this time, I think. I've changed my screwdriver. Hang on, just give me a second while I just change my screw. Okay, sorry about that. I think I had to just get in at a funny angle, and so it's kind of obscuring the view a bit. But anyway, I've screwed in. I just get my screwdriver here. This is a pointer. So I've screwed in the two screws down here. I think having crosshead screws made a big difference, and also having a flexible screwdriver to get into the place you want to get into also helped. But it is quite tricky, but it's still a little bit easier than taking out the base mechanism. So that was okay. So now the next step then is that's all done. That's in place. I'm going to put the base panel back on. So what you have to do is just catch the air button and just in the right hole, and then I've got my screws in the right order. So just get a nice screwdriver to put those in. There we go. That's all nice and secure. The last thing I'm going to do is on the thread here, I'm just going to rub a little bit of beeswax. And what else I'm going to do is just to make sure that just runs in nice and smoothly. I'm going to put back in again, and then this bit you can just feed into the mechanism here. Sorry, wrong way. Looking at it upside down. And then you can tighten that down to wherever you want that to be. So that's all back together again now. So once I've done that, then you can just reassemble, put the reed blocks back, in, and then you can then put the accordion back together. And now I'm not going to put this back together now because this is my next project, so I'm going to start taking things apart anyway. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Right, now let me just set up the next accordion with the different bass strap. Give me a second. Okay, so the vintage style is a lot more straightforward, although it has a lot less adjustability. So with the vintage style, the bass strap is simply screwed onto the bass side of the accordion. The little screws here, there's a little metal plate holds it on, so you can just undo those screws, and on the other side got exactly the same. Just here. So there, I don't know if you can see on this one, but there's actually extra holes on this strap. So if you want to make the strap longer, what you do, you undo those little screws, drop the strap down and put them through the other holes in the leather, and that'll make it longer. So you can shorten or lengthen the strap a little bit by changing the holes in the leather that you're screwing into the bass side of the accordion. A couple of things, easy to change. If you want to put a new one on, simply get yourself some leather of the right thickness. I normally use about 2mm thick, and then the right width, and all you've got to do then is just make sure you make the holes in the right place, measure it carefully, and what you could do is just have maybe a series of holes, like 3 pairs of holes going down, so that you've got a little bit of adjustment. You can choose where you want to finally have it, and again just put a bit of felt on the back, glue a bit of felt on, make it nice and tidy. The other thing that can happen is that the screw holes become a bit too big, and so you can't get that bass strap tight. And there's 2 things you can do there. First thing is change the screws for slightly bigger ones, and that's okay, but sometimes you end up having really big screws in there, and it's not quite so kind of satisfactory. The other thing you can do is to plug the holes, and to do that, if you get yourself some cocktail sticks, I've got a little pot here, and these are made of birch, and these are quite nice to use. What you do is you take the screw out, put some wood glue on the end of the cocktail stick, plug it into the hole where the screw was, let that dry for a good few hours, or maybe leave it overnight, and then once that's dry, just snip the cocktail stick off flush with the surface, maybe give it a little bit of a tidy up, and then what you can do then is you can drill yourself a new hole and put a screw in and it'll be nice and tight. So that's the other thing you can do. So the vintage ones, these ones, are a lot easier to work on. It's just that the adjustability is simply choosing which hole you put the screws in on the bass strap to make it longer or shorter. Okay, hope that was helpful. So that's bass strap replacement, and good luck if you're doing it.